Welcome to episode 10 of Swish Theory. My name is Chris Amundsen, hosting as always with my great friend, co-host, Mr. Laro Golden. Coach Golden, Coach Laro the legend. How you doing? Well, it has been, first I just want to say, it has been a little while since we've been on the microphone. Not intentionally, there's just been some wild stuff. I feel like it's happened every Sunday night with our families for some reason. So it's been a little while, but I'm happy to be back and talking basketball. A lot has happened. We had the crazy trade deadline, but I wanted to check in with you on a personal level, Laro. How you feeling? How are you doing? I've missed you a lot, and I'm just glad to get to hear your voice again.
Obviously I've missed you too, man. Like all the way back to, Bulls 101. I mean, this has been something I've always looked forward to doing because and there's nothing more outside of family and stuff like that, obviously, that I love doing and talking ball. So, not having this for the last couple, weeks, close to a month it's been different. But things have happened to where I couldn't do it. And, but again, I'm happy to do it now. I mean, we have a great guest on. I'm just ready to get my thoughts off. I'm ready to kind of, really just talk some ball, man. Dig into the weeds of a very fun team in the NBA right now because of one of the best stars in the league. So I'm just ready to talk some ball.
That's what we're here for. I've missed it, but we're back. As you mentioned, we have an incredible guest, a Swish Theory contributor, and the co-host of our sister pod, the Finishing Touch pod, Mr. David Sajdak. Welcome to Swish Theory, and welcome to our podcast in Swish Theory. And we're here today to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, your hometown team, and we're just happy to have you, man. How have you been? I know we just finished with the trade deadline, so even before we get into the Mavericks, if you have any trade deadline thoughts or the craziness that happened there, let us know how you're feeling.
Man, what a crazy trade deadline, like you said. I'm doing good. This is my first time guessing an episode, so it's gonna be a fun one for sure. I'm excited to hear what you guys think of my Mavs.
Think a lot about them. Yeah, there's a lot going on with the Mavs. You said the crazy deadline. The Mavericks had one of the more out of left field deadlines when Kyrie Irving made his trade request from the Brooklyn Nets, they were just cooking until even after KD's injury. But obviously the failure to reach an extension with the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie led to that decision, and the Dallas Mavericks jumped right on it. They ended up trading Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie and a future first-round pick to get Kyrie Irving back, as well as Markieff Morris. And team looks a little bit different. And I would say you guys have been clamoring a lot for Luka to get help. I'm not sure if this is exactly the move you had in mind. But Kyrie Irving, his talent on the court is undeniable. And, we saw him in their doubleheader against the Kings. He and Luka played. Kyrie and Luka played that second game together for the first time. It was really interesting to see them on the court, and I'm fascinated to see what they do this season. What did you think of the trade, David? Were you surprised that the Mavericks had interest, or that they pulled the trigger, or was this kind of was the desperation kind of more palpable on your end?
I kind of saw that they were linked to him, but it was still a surprise that they got him because it's been about a decade or two of just the Mavs always being like, they almost got this guy. Oh, they almost traded for Kobe. They almost signed DeAndre Jordan, but this time they finally got their guy. Basketball wise, I really like this trade because I've been a huge Kyrie fan of his game throughout the years. So I'm just excited to see another guy I just love to watch hoop play. And I think he's a really good fit next to Luka, which we'll get into.
Yeah, just on the Kyrie trade, I totally agree. I in terms of a basketball, just totally basketball, and we got to make sure we say that because Anyway, but like I just always wanted to see Luca play with someone else that, he had KP, but that was a little bit different, big kind of, ball handler. But now he has you know, a secondary ball handler who obviously can be your primary guy. And so it's like I've wanted to see how they would vibe off each other, and I'm sure we're gonna definitely dig into it a little bit more of how they have looked. So like I was very interested to see how it would go, and not only that, but like also like there were some rumblings about Luca being tough to play with, and seeing how he would be how open he would be to being with another guy like Kyrie. So it was very for me very intriguing of a watch when I watched them, just to see how body language wise and stuff the kid has got them running. And so I was very excited to see the trade and see what it looks like after.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely excited to watch more of it. So far, we've only got one game, but I think there were a lot of positives there. Um, I think Luca's always said like the right things as far as playing with another dominant ball handler. He's always seemed willing to do it. It's just kind of never like came to fruition. I mean, obviously we had Brunson here last year, but I mean, a guy like Kyrie comes with like a whole different pedigree. Um, I think Luca will definitely look to defer to him a little bit more than he would have with Brunson, and I'm just really excited to see more of what that looks like. First game, I think the returns were pretty good when Luka and Kyrie were on the court. I saw somewhere they had a pretty good plus minus. I mean, obviously one game sample size plus minus doesn't mean anything, but they definitely look good out there.
Yeah, it was fun to watch in that first game. It's going to probably be a little bit more of a your turn, my turn kind of thing as they feel each other out. But I think that chemistry is going to come. And as you said, Luca's played with other guys that can dribble and create and pass things, but not at the level of Kyrie. And it's easier to convince a star to give up some of his usage rate to another star versus someone who's kind of up and coming. And I know Larry and I have talked about this a ton with Zach LaVine. Like Zach LaVine was kind of the people complained that he was a ball hog, or that he was, that he was going to be. It was going to be tough to have him play with other stars. And then as soon as DeMar DeRozan came in, it was easy, because DeMar DeRozan was the same or better caliber of player, and it was just like it just took a little time, and then they started clicking. And Luca and Kyrie, I think, are obviously on a much higher tier on their offensive capabilities, and I think they're going to be really, really fun. The thing that's concerning is obviously that this could be a rental for the Mavericks, and we'll talk about more of the long-term concerns about that, I think, a little bit later in the podcast. But it's going to be really fun this season to see what they can do together. The downside obviously is you lose one of your best defenders in Dorian Finney-Smith, and a guy who Luke has been on the record saying how much he likes him and how much he loves playing with him, one of his favorite teammates. So that's a tough loss from, just a personnel standpoint and kind of running what you want to run defensively. And the Mavs have not been a great defensive unit this year, in a big change from last year, which they were much better last year. And then obviously Spencer Dinwiddie, he kind of served as the Brunson replacement in a sense, and he's a great player. But Kyrie, I think, is just a direct upgrade to what Spencer could do on the court from an offensive standpoint. But I think that the DFS loss stands a little bit larger in my mind. But what do you think about them kind of taking a step back on defense and kind of going all in more on offense with the loss of Dorian Finney-Smith?
But Dodo's a huge fan favorite, so obviously that one hurts. He was one of the longest tenured Mavericks, and he's just always had like a great attitude and energy to the game, and he's been a great guy off the court too, like helping around the community. So that was definitely a tough loss. Basketball wise, obviously we're definitely lacking in like big wing depth. We have Bullock, Josh Green, Hardaway. They're all like more 2 3s and like 4s or anything. I guess we got Markieff Morris back, but he hasn't seen any of the court yet since coming over. But mainly just waiting for Maxi Kleba to come back. He's a big part of our defense. Been one of the most underrated defenders and players in the NBA. We were talking about that a little bit before the pod, Chris. But yeah, I'm just waiting to see what happens when Maxi gets back defensively. I still don't think we have the personnel to really be like a great defensive team, but more minutes for Green and then just adding Maxi back into our lineup should help there a little bit. So that's what I'll be looking for defensively.
Yeah, I totally agree on the defensive side of the ball. I really feel like watching those games since Kyrie has been there. For instance, watching the Kings games, there was a lot of, and I know the Kings are a very fast-paced team. They're a team that has been together for since the beginning of the year, so they all are used to playing with each other. So it's a kind of a tough. It's kind of tough for the Mavs, a team that's kind of just started playing with each other with the new additions and things like that. But there were times in transition where guys were getting lost, and I think you missed that kind of communicator on the back end or on that team like that I've seen DFS be at times. And again, like you said, the big wing, and I thought that there were times where Bullock or Tim Hardaway Jr. were playing good defense, but it just at the point where they were just a little bit too small, and a lot of Harrison Barnes with his strength creation kind of just was just a little bit too much for those guys at points. And so that is definitely something that has stuck out to me is, like you said, the big wing, somebody that can really guard that wing. And, to Kyrie's credit as well, like it seems like he's been trying to give good effort on that end as well since he's been back. Like I saw, him rotate as the low man and get a block. And I'm like, okay, all right, Kyrie, I see you, So, I mean, can I just say, I mean, I know it's very tough to because Kyrie is wishy-washy, okay? But like I just want to say I feel like he's had the right mindset since he's been with the Mavs so far. Like on both sides of the ball, and I mean, again, it's encouraging, but for a grain of salt. Yeah, in terms of the defense, like I really thought that that's what it is that you need that big wing and Maxi coming back is huge. And like I think that there was a point in the game where they started with Dwight Powell, and again, we'll get in offensively. I really like Dwight Powell, but and they were kind of switching everything, and then they brought in JaVale McGee, and it was kind of like funneling guys to JaVale in using his size, and I thought that they played a little bit better defense that way. But I think, like, again, going back to what you said with Maxi coming back, I think that they'll be able to play a little bit better in that other kind of style as well, with Dwight and Maxi, them being able to switch and still have that size and kind of being able to handle some of the bigger wings. So I do think, like Chris has said, like I think Maxi coming back will be huge, and he'll slot right in and be that ingredient that this team needs to get cooking a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball.
Now, speaking of cooking, there's been some additional real estate being built on Josh Green Island. We were talking about this before we started recording, but I think people in general are just way too impatient with young players. And we always have this idea of this person, because they were picked at this spot, should progress in this way. And that's just almost never the case. And I don't know why we continue with the idiocy of thinking that way. But I stumble into that as well sometimes, of like, hey, this guy was picked this, or he's had this much experience or these many reps. But it's not linear, and it's up and down, and you're hoping that the ups and downs are slowly getting higher and higher instead of lower and lower. But Josh Green, I think, has really taken off this year. He's really taken a leap on both ends. And David, you talked about his minutes increasing being something you want to see down the stretch of the season. I just wanted to give you a chance to show Josh Green some love and what you've seen from him this season that's impressed you.
I love Josh Green. If there's anybody that's listened to the Finishing Touch podcast at all, you'll hear me and Tyler give him his flowers a lot of the times. But yeah, man, I just feel like the previous 2 years, it was always just a confidence thing with him. Like the flashes were definitely there. He's always been a good defender. He's always been really decisive with the ball. Sometimes a little too quick to make his decisions, even like a little jittery. Uh, but this year it's really like all come together for him. He's a lot more confident in his shot. Um, Coming into the year, I kind of noticed like right away that the transfer energy looked much better. I noted that in the scouting report I did for him, and yeah, he's becoming the perfect connector for the Mavs. And I'm just really happy to see it.
I gotta be honest, man. I get really envious of teams that allow their young guys to play through ups and downs a little bit and allow them to learn from mistakes, put the ball in their hands a little bit and see what they can do. And you know, what do you know? You know, your guy starts to show some consistent, improvement. And so, like with Josh Green, watching him against the Kings the other night, him bringing the ball up, initiating some of the offense a little, sometimes, him consistently being knocking down that corner three. And like you said, like I remember watching last season, he may have an open shot and it was almost like he was second guessing himself a little bit. And now he was letting that thing fly. I mean, the first three he took in that game, it was a little bit off. But after that, like, it's like he forgot about that first three and he just kept letting it go. And it's really cool because I mean the stuff that the Mavs were running with like their horn stuff and emptying that backside out, making that low man, putting that low man in conflict, and having to choose if they want to stay with Josh and obviously like even me, if I was in the on the coaching staff, I would say leave Josh, because he's knocking it down, but you want to see it consistently. So of course you're gonna just protect the rim and he made them pay a ton, and not only is he knocking down the three, but now you add in that explosive, being able to attack the closeout, and he's going to put it on your head if you give him enough room, and finishing through contact the other night. I mean, I haven't even talked about defensively. I mean, it's just like Josh Green is fun, and it's really cool to, like I said at the beginning, to really see organization kind of like, instill that confidence. Like, hey, we drafted you, we believe in you, and the coaching staff, putting them in positions to succeed. Because ultimately, that's what coaching really is, man. Like you can be an X and O guy, you can be the smartest guy on the floor. But if you don't know how to put your players in the right position to succeed, I mean, what are you there for? And so that's what they've been doing with Josh, and he's just been really taking off, man. So hats off to Josh Green, man, and I'm just happy for the guy, man. I'm happy for him.
You guys both mentioned this. I think a lot of these players have athleticism, but it's more flash than function sometimes. And as they get older and as they kind of integrate themselves into the NBA, they start to, as you said, the energy transfer, or like they start to kind of develop and fine tune their athleticism into something that's functional, something that results in free throws or getting to the rim more, or pump fakes, things like that, or on defense, right? Like their timing improves, and you've kind of seen Josh put that together because he's athletic, but the athleticism is much more purposeful, I think, than it has been in the past. And both of you guys mentioned that. So something I wanted to point out, that it's fun to see that. It's kind of, it's like watching a toddler. Like at first they're just walking and it's like, hey, I can walk, like I can do all these things. And then all of a sudden they're jumping and they're running, and you kind of see that I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old. So this is why I'm watching this right now. But you just see how they're fine tuning those motor skills and that athleticism into something that's going to benefit them. And it's really fun to see. And I kind of wanted to, I know I'm getting off script here a little bit, but I wanted to ask about Jaden Hardy, who's a rookie, who was a second round pick. Wait, is it? I think he's a rookie. Am I wrong? I think this is his first year. Let me know.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
rookie.
Okay. I wanted to see if you've seen that with Jaden Hardy's athleticism. Is it still kind of flash, or have you seen him kind of convert it into function?
I'd say it's definitely functional in the open court so far. That's one of the things that they've been doing a lot more, especially since the trade is just like getting out in transition, or since Luka has been out basically. And they've really made an effort last game to continue that even with Luka on the court, just getting out more in transition with Kyrie, Josh Green, Jay and Hardy. They're all obviously able to push in transition. So I'd say it's definitely functional there. In the half court is definitely still a work in progress, I'd say. He'll get to the rim sometimes and just like, or well, the finishing has definitely improved so far. He's improved from the G, his finishing, but I think he'll just continue to get better, like you said. Functionally, the athleticism will improve.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, David is a beast at this evaluation stuff, man. So I mean, I agree with what he's saying, and I think at least statistically, I feel like February so far has been pretty good for him. So I think that's a big thing for, especially for a rookie, is start to see some type of success. And it could just it can just help you continue to fight to stay afloat until you can latch on to something that, whether it's a particular set or whether it's an action, and you just build step by step until you get to the point where you should be. And so it's really cool to see Jaden, like Kyrie was driving, kicking to him, and he was getting some shots, and I think for Jaden, he just got to stay with it, because the talent is there. Everybody that knows Jaden knows he can shoot the ball, and he has a little bit more to his game than just being only a shooter. So it's just all about just staying confident in himself. And I'm pretty sure with being on the floor, Kyrie and Luka, at some point, things are going to click for him. The game's going to get easier for him. It's going to continue to slow down for him. And like I said, I think February in these 6 games, what is he at? 10 points on 70% true shooting in these 6 games. So I mean, it's going to get better for him. I feel like it's going to slow down a little bit more for him. So I agree with you on everything you just said, David.
Yeah, I'm very high on his future. One thing about Hardy that he kind of had over Green is that his confidence has never seemed to waver. He's a very confident guy. Like you said, he's already a super high level shooter. So just that baseline of skill already gives him a pretty high floor in that regard. And then obviously just like the on ball creation flashes, and then what he can do with the ball in his hands gives even more of like a optimistic outlook for his future.
I think one of the most important things for the Mavericks, and we'll talk about kind of their future situation and their roster and the talent, their overall talent in the roster. They are going to, like, the development of Jaden Hardy and Josh Green is going to be essential for this roster to compete in the future. The Mavericks have had a difficult time, getting free agents, getting people to play with Luka. They've, had some hits and misses with spending assets on different things, and now they've taken another kind of big leap here with Kyrie. So guys like Josh Green and Jaden Hardy really have to hit and really have to kind of come into their own pretty quickly for Luka. So it's really nice to see that they're already on their way and that they're kind of making those leaps, because I think not only is it nice to see, but I think it's also really important for the Mavericks to do that. And I wanted to kind of transition into talking about Luka and the changes that he's going to have to make now with the current players on the roster, especially the addition of Kyrie and the emergence of Green and Hardy. I know we talked a little bit before we started recording, but talking about getting Luka off ball and what the Mavericks and Jason Kidd are doing to kind of get him more comfortable doing that role. I know he's done it on occasion, but doing it on a more consistent basis and doing it next to someone that's such a high level creator and that draws so much attention like a guy in Kyrie does. So David, what have you seen from Jason Kidd and Luka in those efforts?
Yeah, I think there's going to be an adjustment period for sure. Luka really hasn't played off the ball since his rookie year, and then going back to Real Madrid some. So I think it's going to take some adjustments. But I'm not a huge X's and O's guy. Like that's obviously Lero's field, but I have seen that they've run more like delay actions with Powell to get like off ball looks for Luka. They'll have Kyrie or Josh Green bring it up, Jaden Hardy sometimes, and just like adding more wrinkles so it's not so the offense is a little bit less predictable than just like okay, Luka's gonna bring it up, he's gonna run spread pick and roll, high pick and roll. Uh, just adding little wrinkles and keeping the defense a little bit more honest. Yeah, that's how that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, and here's the deal. Like, and even Joe, shout out Joe Holbert. Like, it's the same thing. Like, as long as you can tell, like, as long as you can explain what they're trying to do, who they're trying to get the ball to, like, honestly, that's what really matters, man. I mean, like, knowing the name of sets or whatever is whatever, But like you said, like them trying to get into more of a flow action, it's totally true, right? And like you said, they're moving Luka around more and not just having to walk the ball up and then run fist or a middle pick and roll and let them read off of that. Or like, for instance, they had Jaden Hardy bring the ball up, and they had Luka come off zoom action, which is basically a stagger away in Chicago, if you want to think about it that way, like pinned down into a DHO. He comes off, and now that second screener rolls. And it's just like you said, putting defenses like, well, hold on, we ain't do this before. What the hell? Now we got to worry about Luka like coming off a screen with full momentum, and how we rotating off of that. Like, there were some times where they'd run a horn set and Luka would pop out horns into chin, and now they're running kind of flare actions and stuff like that. And it's really cool to see that, because you have, like, yes, Luka is a wonderful ball handler. He's someone that reads the floors rapidly, fast, and he'll make you pay. That's one thing. But like, at some point, a defense is going to be able to kind of take away the certain things that the easy reads, the hard read, like they'll be able to know, kind of like predetermine what you may do off of certain, depending on what they're trying to do defensively. And so, like, being able to put him in different spots on the floor, that makes your defense have to worry a little bit. So, he's not just a ball handler. He's a very good passer. He can also attack a closeout. He can post up. He can be a screener with a big body he is. So them using him in chin and them using him in horns as a screener, like these are all really, really cool things. And to be honest with you, for him to already be willing to do these different things says a lot about him as a player. To me, it says that, hey, like, I want to win. I don't care what it takes. If I have to be a screener, if I have to, run off these staggered screens, whatever it is, I just want to win. And so, like, to me, that's what that says. But all in all, like, yes, you're right. They're running more flow stuff, more dribble weaves into pick and rolls. Chicago, different horn sets. I think I counted maybe 6 or 7 different horn sets that they did. It's like Jason Kidd is definitely trying to mix it up and put guys in the right position and kind of put Luka in different spots on the floor to make it harder for the defense to key in. So, yeah, David, I mean, I totally agree with what you've been seeing.
Also, I think you talked about this, Lero, but Luka's cognitive athleticism on the offensive end is otherworldly. He's just a special thinker on the court. And we've seen Luka pick apart defenses Like they'll play a coverage, and like within a play or two, like he's already figured it out how to beat that coverage. Like he just, he and Jokic are just some of the best thinkers on the offensive end, I think, in the NBA, and not just currently, but I think generationally, just brilliant on the court. Their spatial recognition and processing speed is just super, super high. And so you already have a guy who is just the elite of the elite at picking apart defenses. And now you give him more weapons. You see, Josh Green and Jaden Hardy's emergence. You add Kyrie, who also is a really, has high level spatial awareness, and his dribbling and his ball control is just phenomenal, where he can get to spots and throw passes and just do things on the court that just not a lot of players can do. There's less than 5 guys that can do anything near what Kyrie can do on the court. And now you put 2 of them together. That's a great base to start with. 2 of the best offensive players in the generation of offensive players in the NBA. And secondly, I think this is what I was thinking of, Laro. Luka just wants to win. You've seen him put it all on his shoulders, not because he's selfish, but because he thinks, I have to do it. Like, this is what is required of me to win. And having a guy like Kyrie, I think we're going to see more off-ball Luka, not because it's scheduled, not because the coaches are wanting it. I think it's just going to make the most sense for winning basketball games. And so I'm not super worried about it. I think it's going to be really fun to kind of watch that. Jason Kidd obviously needs to put them in the right positions, and coaches are getting a lot better these days at not just running an action, but disguising the action that they want to run, and putting guys in position where they're the screener when they're not usually the screener, or putting guys in, doing inverse pick and rolls, that kind of thing. So, and they've got guys that can do that. Not just Kyrie, not just Luka, but you've seen Josh Green get some more on-ball opportunities. Laro and David, you mentioned the delay action with Dwight Powell. So there's opportunities for them to do that. And there's a guy we haven't talked about yet, actually, is Christian Wood, and what he brings to the table on offense. So Laro's already getting ready to talk here. So Laro, I actually want to start with you on Christian Wood. What have you seen with Christian Wood this year, and how do you think he's been able to help, and how do you think he can help down the stretch run? Because I think Christian Wood's future on the team is not necessarily in stone right now. So what do you think he can bring to the table for the rest of the season?
Well, first of all, let me just say, like, the face that I was making was more towards the. Now, okay, I watch Mavericks games every now and then, but since we're gonna have this, we wanted to make this part about Dallas. Like, I wanted to kind of watch them a little bit more in depth. And let me tell you, like, Christian Wood is talented offensively. Like, he's a really good pick and roll. I mean, like, the things you could do with him and Kyrie, him and Luka, they've already done well. I mean, yeah, cool. Like, yeah, he's a good offensive piece. But my God, man, the defensive side of the ball with Christian Wood, like, there was okay, so I was watching the Kings game, the second Kings game, and he pick and pop, he takes the 3, he misses it. I think he thought he got fouled. He kind of jogs back. Yeah, and I'm like, what is that? Now I see what Jason Kidd is like. Jason Kidd is in a rock and a hard place, because he's like, this dude helps me offensively. He's a really good piece offensively. But then you look on the defensive side of the ball, and you're like, there's got to be more effort in your bones. Like, there has to be. I don't want to be that guy, but like, it's just, some of the effort things I saw from him was kind of crazy. I saw he got a block, and then it's like he celebrated like, "Hey, y'all saw that? I got a block." Like, did you see that? Like, it was like, what is going on? Like, I don't even know. So, as someone that is not a avid Dallas Mavericks game watcher, like, David, I got to pick your brain, man. I need to know how you feel about Christian Wood Like I know offensively he's a good player. He could be a really fun player in pick and roll, especially. But like I need to kind of pick your brain, man. Like I need your scouting report on him defensively. You know, what you've seen since he's been a Maverick, or even more recently. You know, like I'll shut up, man. I just want to hear you, man. I need to hear it.
Man, I'm still trying to figure out Christian Wood myself, man. Like, I don't know. Like you said, offensively, like he's perfect, especially next to Luca. Pick and pop's great. He's a great roller. I think him and Luca are like the number one in terms of efficiency pick and roll duo in the entire league. But yeah, he has like stretches of like waning defensive effort, and like he had a good stretch there a couple weeks before his injury, maybe during the win streak, where he really looked to be given more effort on the defensive end, and it was starting to make a difference. Since since he's come back from his injury, his minutes have really gone down. I think only 18 minutes a game now, and obviously his name was circulating in trade rumors. So I don't know if the defensive effort is kind of a reflection of that. I mean, he hasn't been like a consistently positive defender throughout the entire season, so that was never really a strength in his game. But yeah, I just it's gonna be hard to count on him defensively, and I guess you kind of have to just look at him as a guy that can just get you buckets sometimes if you need him. Which how often are we gonna need him if we have Luka and Kyrie out there all the time? So
Yeah, I think bigs that lack defense are in kind of a really tough spot at all time. Like you can't build a really credible defense around them, and it's so much easier to be fine with a guard that doesn't defend very well. But when it's a big, when that's your anchor and the anchor's doing this, it just becomes really difficult to get where you want to go. It limits your ceiling so much in not only the type of coverages that you can play with that big on the defensive end, but just the fact that, especially if it's an effort thing, like that's where it really gets bad. And so with Christian Wood, it's been iffy, and it surprised me that he did not get traded. I'd heard kind of from around that they were very open to doing so, and that he's probably not in the Mavericks long term plans. And I honestly think that's probably the right call. They have to find someone that's a better rim protector, that's a better just defender in general. It's really difficult to build your team around it. But offensively, he's been really phenomenal this year. And both of you have mentioned this, but I'm interested to see how that changes now that you've upgraded the offense with Kyrie. How much of an afterthought Christian Wood becomes. I think he's still really valuable. Bench bigs that can score are really valuable. But you can't have him be your starter. And you've seen the reluctance of the Mavericks to start Christian Wood until they're kind of basically forced to at some point in the season. They really have much choice. But ideally, that he would be coming off your bench. And, I don't know if that's ideal for him and his contractual situation, if that's really what he wants to do long term. So I think that they're going to be at an impasse in the off season. I doubt that relationship is going to continue. But for this season and for a potential playoff run, I'm interested to see what happens with Christian Wood. Because I think the one thing I think, and I know it's a super cliche, but it's like, who's going to stop these guys on offense? So like, these guys are potent offensively, and they've really done a good job of putting guys around Luka now that it's going to be hard to stop. And maybe you just lean that hard into offense and just hope that just dare someone outscore you, basically. It might, that might not be such a bad gamble for a playoff situation. If you got Luka in the playoffs, you're already in a really good spot, no matter who else is on the team. But I think that they're going to be really fun to watch. I really hope that they get a really good, a solid playoff seed, so we can watch some Luka magic next to Kyrie, next to Christian, next to Josh and Jaden Hardy. I wanted to kind of transition, unless you guys had other thoughts on that, to just the other supporting cast that the rotation players, JaVale McGee, Dwight Powell, Tim Hardaway Jr., Davis Bertans, sometimes Reggie Bullock. We're waiting on the return of Maxi Kleba, who might be coming back faster than I've ever seen from a torn hamstring. I partially tore my hamstring, and let me tell you, that was not fun. I could not walk for like 3 or 4 days. I couldn't walk. And so for Maxi Kleba to do what he did and to be coming back is honestly a little bit mind-blowing for me. But as far as the rest of the supporting cast, do you think that they've done enough this year? And if so, who has? And if not, what needs to change? I know it's kind of a weird question, but like I just want to get your thoughts on the supporting cast in general, other than the guys that we've talked about.
As far as doing enough, I find it's just kind of hard for me to even blame them for like not doing enough, because it's more so an indictment of like the roster construction than like asking them to do more, So, but yeah, a lot of them are kind of have been limited, at least offensively. Like, for example, Reggie Bullock, if the three is not going down, like he can't really do much for you offensively. He's not really a guy that's gonna be attacking closeouts or providing anything else of like significant value. And it's kind of tough with him because he's consistently throughout his career started off seasons extremely cold from three. I think he's like 29% before December throughout his career from three. So it was a pretty brutal start this year. It was hard to watch, but he's turned it around of late. He's been really hot. Tim Hardaway Jr. He's one of the guys that can put the ball on the floor a little bit more, but then the shot selection is pretty frustrating. Um, yeah, the efficiency hasn't been great this year at all. Whenever Carlisle was here, it felt like he kind of reeled that part of him in, and he really found a spot on the team. But it's been a little bit downhill since his injury. Obviously, he can still get hot too. Bertans defensively is kind of a mess, but he can get hot again. We got a lot of guys that can get hot, so that shooting variance could definitely help in the playoffs. Who else did you mention? Kleba. I love Kleba. Defensively, he's extremely good. The only thing I'm worried about is like, are his legs going to go out? I feel like he's slowly started to go on the decline athletically, and that's hurt a little bit on the defensive end. But he's still been good. And then shooting wise, I think it's probably hurt the most. He went from like around 40% on 4 attempts per game a couple years back to a little bit on the lower side. I don't know what his. I can look it up real quick. But last year he was at 31%, I think, and this year he's at 37%, but on lower volume than it used to be. So that's my concern for him, is how quickly can he find his legs, or if he can find them back at all. Was there anybody else that you mentioned supporting cast wise?
Yeah, Dwight Powell and JaVale McGee,
Okay.
and in the front court, like how I know Dwight Powell has been kind of a lightning rod over the years. So people who either love him or hate him.
Yeah, so Dwight, for me, it's been kind of similar, like a roller, because like early on, I didn't really enjoy his minutes on the court. I feel like his lack of rim protection kind of leads to everybody just assuming he's a bad defender. But I think over time I've come to realize he brings some other things of value defensively. And when you can put a rim protector or like a good weak side guy on the floor with him, like Maxi, I mean, he can thrive a little bit. Um, Obviously, offensively, he has great chemistry with Luka. He's, as I mentioned, number one in the league in the pick and roll efficiency was Luka and Seawood. Number two is Luka and Dwight Powell. So he's still bringing good things as a lob threat, and he can show it. He can play at the level of screens. He's not offering rim protection, but he can at least move his feet out there. JaVale McGee has been interesting to start the year. It was pretty rough. We gave him a pretty big contract too, so Mavs fans were definitely not happy about that on Mavs Twitter. Of late, he's been better. The engagement looks to have increased, especially since the Kyrie trade. Jason Kidd actually mentioned that how the Kyrie trade seemed to have like re-energized some of the players, and he mentioned JaVale McGee as one of them. and he's actually seemed to like leapfrog C Wood in the front court rotation. He comes in the game earlier. I think he's been getting more minutes of late, but yeah, I think he can provide some valuable minutes. I mean, the theoretical version of JaVale McGee is somewhat enticing. So I think he can bring some some good things to Dallas. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the supporting cast.
Larry, I'll let you go in a second. I just wanted to say that was funny that you said the theoretical version, because I feel like you've got all the supporting cast has a lot of theoretical version kind of to it. Like they get hot or they're super cold, and it's like if they're rolling, they're really good. If not, it's like it can be a train wreck pretty quickly.
And to be honest with you, I think David hit on something as well, or earlier in his response is like, it's tough because of roster construction. Because I was looking out there and I was seeing Theo Pinson getting minutes. I'm like, oh my goodness, Theo Pinson, like yeah, he's getting minutes, but no, but I think one of the things that will help the Mavs, hopefully as they keep going, is that some of these guys are getting shots, more consistently that they may not be used to right now, and they have to get used to it because teams are going to show more attention to Kyrie. Teams are going to continue to show that attention to Luka. So they're going to need Josh Green to keep taking those threes with more confidence and continuing to be a threat from the corner. They're going to need JaVale McGee to roll to that basket hard as hell, to keep that low man, put him continuing to make him squeeze on that rim, or either open up that corner, or open whatever he does, opens up that lob. Dwight Powell getting into more of the DHO stuff, and I mean that guy. I mean, watching that guy run that run some delay and more so comfortable in DHO actions, and like I think that is going to be so fun to watch with the Mavs going forward, especially when at first, like Dwight Powell, you try to get into a DHO and they top block Luka, and you turn around and you're like, okay, who am I going to get into the DHO with now? Like now it's like, okay, come on, Kyrie. Like it's like now he can kind of, as a defense, you got to be worried. You're like, well, oh shit, okay, do we top block Luka? Do we what we got? So it's. I think that is also part of why some of these guys are, like Coach Kidd has said, it has shown a little bit more juice and a little bit more activity, is because now they know that, oh crap, now, because it used to be like, well, if Luka doesn't make a play for me, well, I may not get the ball. Now it's like, okay, we got another dog now, so I got to make sure I'm on my P's and Q's, because if I'm open, I'm going to get the ball. And hell, like I think it just makes sense why they have more activity and they're more active. There's more juice because now they have two dogs on the floor. And if everybody's doing the right things and spacing the floor the right way, they're going to get open shots. And I mean, honestly, think about it yourselves. You're on the basketball team, right? And before trade deadline, it's like, I don't really get shots, so whatever. If Luka doesn't get me the shot, he's our best offense. So, I guess I'll just stand over here in the corner and hopefully I get something, and then fast forward to you're still on the team and now you got another guy that can get you a shot. You're gonna be super energized, like, okay, let me set this ball screen, or let me space this floor, because now I know that there's a higher chance, higher possibility of me being a little bit more if I'm open, I may get the ball, because my guy is gonna have to help if I'm in the action. They're not gonna stay on me. they're gonna go on Kyrie. So now it's about that. So at the end of the day, it just makes sense. But I just want to give some shouts out to Dwight Powell, because that is one of the things I'm going to continue to watch, is his how the synergy between those three and that DHO kind of the dribble weave stuff, the Chicago stuff, the horn stuff, and just the chin action stuff, like just different things they're going to be able to do with him now. And they can have both Kyrie and Luka off the ball for just a tad bit until they get into a different action. Like Chris said before, a lot of coaches nowadays, you run a dummy action to get to the action you want to get to. So now, like, you can do that a little bit more with a guy like Dwight Powell doing that, and also having Kyrie off ball. So I'm honestly, man, I'm excited for the Mavs going forward in terms of like playoff basketball atmosphere because the game slows down a little bit and you got two chess pieces on the board that not many teams have. So um, it's gonna be fun, I think. You know, yeah.
David, what do you think if we look at the future here for an upcoming playoff run? What are you excited to see in the playoffs for the Mavs? And should people be excited about the Mavs in the playoffs this year?
I'm just excited to see what it looks like to have a guy of Kyrie's caliber next to Luca in the playoffs. Because I mean, you know what you saw what he did last year without that high caliber of play. I mean, Brunson was great; he was amazing. But I think Kyrie's, like I mentioned earlier, just like a whole nother ball game with him out there. I need my Mavs Suns rematch. I'm excited to see that.
I
um,
I would agree with you there, but especially they
yeah,
they had a little addition over there in Phoenix that I think would be exciting to watch too.
yeah, small addition, but yeah, that would be a fun series for sure. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what we look like in the playoffs. I'm excited to see how some of the young guys can manage mentally. I want to see if Josh Green can continue to play with confidence. I think that's going to be a big thing for him. There's usually an adjustment for younger players in the playoffs like that. Um, and yeah, just moving on to next year, we'll see if Kyrie was just a rental or not. But then after this draft, we'll have after our 2023 pick conveys to New York, we'll have full access to 2024, 25, 26, and 27 first round picks. So there's more flexibility to make a move there. So I feel like the future went from pretty bleak before the trade deadline to looking a little brighter now. So I don't know, it's like my not like fandom, but like I'm more invested now. Like there's a little bit doom and gloom there for a little bit, but I don't know, things are looking up. I hope that things don't crash and burn, like some predict with Kyrie. I'm optimistic, but obviously it's just like a wait and see thing.
When this season is over with the trades and stuff like that happening, and what is your what would you be happy with? Like obviously I don't think they're built enough to go fight for a title, but like what would you be happy with at the end of the day when the season is done?
I think it depends on matchups in the playoffs partly, but obviously a conference final repeat would be nice. Uh, if it's second round and we lose to the Suns or the Nuggets with how they've been playing, Grizzlies maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be mad depending on like process and how things went down. But yeah, I think we can make noise in the playoffs for sure. So just looking to see if we can make noise. I know the depth isn't really there. We talked about the big wing position. Defensively, I don't think we're at the level that you need to be at to really contend for a championship. But yeah, just seeing like fight and making noise in the playoffs, moving on to next year, see if we can make a move in the summer, like I mentioned, and just moving from there.
David, you said you're not quite sure that they're built for contention right now, that they're missing pieces. What's the position or the skill set that you think would get you to that level? Like what is it that, hey, we're missing this piece, we're missing, even if it's a specific guy or just kind of like a skill set that you're looking, that you think the team lacks still?
I really think it comes down to that big wing position again, at least depth wise. We might see Frank Ntilikina minutes at the four. I mean, it's not great right now.
He
I
smokes.
I yeah, I kind of want to see what Morris looks like because I mean, if you can get something out of him, that would be pretty big. Um, but yeah, losing Dodo there definitely hurts. As far as targets go, OG is intriguing. I just think the price tag is really high for him. So I don't know. Maybe it stabilizes a little bit in the summer, but yeah, I have to dig in more to like look at different targets. But I mean, and if Pascal's on the market anytime, I mean, go get him. So, but
Ooh, if you think
yeah,
OG price is high. It was
Right.
it was funny to see like the people collectively losing their minds on the prices that were being reported for the Raptors players. I'm like, OG Anunoby's worth 3 unprotected first. Like, what world are we living? Like, I don't know. Like, I thought it was a little bit crazy, and it was kind of funny that the Raptors didn't end up moving any of the guys. It's like maybe they're just delusional about the trade value of their players as their fans are. Shout out Raptors fans who are the most rabid fan base I think in the NBA at this point. OG is a great player, but yeah, that's the kind of mold of a guy that you want, right? That kind of switchable big defender that can defend, because you still got guys like LeBron, Kawhi, PG, these big wings that no one's going to stop them. And now you got KD in the Western Conference too. No one's going to stop those guys, but having credible threats on defense makes it easy to to just run your defensive actions and your scheme. And the less time you have to double a guy or send help in general, like the better you're going to be. And yeah, to me, I would agree. I think that if you could get like a really, really quality rim protector, that would help a little bit because you could be a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter. But that big wing, I think, would be key. It's funny you just sent Dodo out, but having Dodo there would be really, really nice.
Yeah, I also like David also he brought him up is that the Morris brother, like if he has enough, just something left in there, a little bit left in the tank, like I think that would help a ton too because he's shooting 40% from 3, so it's like even him, man, that would be huge for them. Like so, I mean, I remember watching the game. I think it was Kyrie's first game with the Mavs, and you see him sitting next to the coaching staff, and it's like, I'm just wondering, like, if, when is he going to come in? Is it, him trying to get his conditioning up or something? I don't know what it is that he hasn't been playing yet, but I would like to see him play and see what he has left, if he can kind of bang still with the big wings a bit, or I know I don't think the stroke has gone anywhere, but like in terms of defensively, I would like to see where he's at least, and hopefully soon. Because if you can ease Maxey back a little bit and not have to like throw him right in, that would help. And about time playoff times come, knock on wood for health. You'll have Maxey and Markeith, I'm sorry, to be that big wing, defender. So yeah, man. I mean, like I said, man, I'm just gonna keep watching this Mavs team because I mean they're two of the most fun players to watch. I mean, I can't. I'm not even a Mavs fan, and obviously, I'm excited to watch them. I mean, it kind of, and I know that they're two different players, and but like Luka just, it kind of reminds me like Kyrie being back with LeBron in a way. Like I want to see it again, because I feel like, as much I'm a Bulls fan and as much as I despise that Cleveland team, those Cleveland teams, like it was fun to see both, Kyrie play off of LeBron. And I think that Luka definitely has some similarities to LeBron. So if anybody can, seamlessly fit with Luka, it would be Kyrie, in my opinion, because he's already played with somebody with that type of skill set. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
The Mavs are going to be must-watch television in the playoffs. It's just the things that Luka does with the ball. Out of anyone in the NBA right now, I think Luka has the best chance to have a LeBron-like career. Maybe that's crazy to say because LeBron is, top 2 and arguably 1 for a lot of people of all time. But like Luka is that good. He's got the size and just the skill and the smarts. He's an incredible basketball player to watch. And so as long as you have Luka on your team, you got a chance to do whatever you want to do. But it also puts incredible pressure, right? We've seen LeBron put incredible pressure on his teams to succeed and to put the pieces around him that he needs. And I think Luka's only 23, but he's already so good that pressure is real. And you've seen the Mavericks, they made the Kristaps Porzingis trade in an attempt to try and put that talent around Luka. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the playoffs and after this year to try and keep Luka around, because I think Dallas has a really, really bright future as long as Luka's on the board for them. Any man, it's been really fun to talk some Mavs and get to know a little bit more about the players for those who aren't as familiar. Anything else? That any final thoughts on the Mavs that you want to leave with us, David? And and if so, let us know. And then also let us know where we can find your work, and I'll have some nice things to say about it, I promise, afterwards, because I do, because it's awesome stuff. But I'll leave you to it, David.
Appreciate it, man. No final remarks as far as the Mavs go. I mean, obviously, I'm just gonna be watching to see how far this ship can sail. But I really had a fun time, guys. I really appreciate y'all having me on. I think this was a great conversation. I always enjoy talking about the Mavericks, so it was a fun one for sure. Uh, my Twitter handle is David Sajdak8. Sajdak is spelled Sajdak. And obviously, you can find my work at the Swish Theory, great site that we all write for. Big things coming, I hope. And our podcast, me and Tyler Wilson have, is called the Finishing Touch Podcast. I think our handle is now at Finish Touch Pod on Twitter. So go ahead and give us a follow. Check out our podcast if you're into the draft, into development. We get into draft guys, and we also get into players around the league to see how they continue to progress throughout their careers. Because those teams need some love during this time as well. But yeah, man, that's where you guys can find my stuff. I'll give it back to you, Chris.
Well, I just want to say, if you guys have not listened to Tyler and David talk about development, like, these guys get into it at a level I did not think was possible. Like, they're really, really in depth, really, like, you learn so much. Like, so many podcasts these days are just kind of more about entertainment, but Tyler and David on the Finishing Pod, like, just the Finishing Touch Pod, just do an incredible job of helping you learn more about basketball players and how the game, like, how players develop, how it translates on the court. Like, I don't think anyone else does it at this level that I've ever listened to. So I have really high praise for you guys and the work that you're doing. So make sure you follow the Finishing Touch podcast, part of the Swish Theory network of podcasts. It's just us two right now, but as you said, big things coming. We got more people. We're adding more people all the time, but I have nothing but great things to say about it. And David, we're just happy to have you and appreciate your time talking Mavs today. Laro, leave it to you, buddy.
Before we get out of here, David, I can't let you get out of here without me asking this question. Don't worry. It's not like I just want to know,
how many buckets did Luka make last?
What has fueled your love for evaluating draft prospects, and also what made you become a fan of the Dallas Mavericks? So I don't know if those two things tie together, but I kind of want to, for me and also for the people that are listening and may want to tap into your pod with Tyler, maybe just, give a little bit background on David,
Yeah. First of all, I really appreciate the kind words, Chris. That means a lot. Me and Tyler have a lot of fun doing the pod, so I really appreciate that. As far as what got me into evaluating guys, I really like seeing how players like development trajectories like pan out. Like seeing a guy like Josh Green go from somebody that's not the most confident in the world, definitely not a perfect player, to the guy he is today, and then obviously like getting even or like making even more improvements is just something I find interesting and I enjoy seeing. I like seeing guys succeed. And I think part of it, like you said, is a little tied to the Mavericks. I actually got into Mavericks basketball a little bit more. They're like tanking years. 2017-18 is when I really started to watch them on a consistent basis. I'm from Dallas. That's where my allegiance comes from. Turned on the TV, watching Dennis Smith Jr. hoop. I just really enjoyed his game. Saw him throw it down a couple times. It's like, dang, I like this dude. And from there, I just locked in on every game. The next draft class, Luka was in. I liked Luka before we even drafted him. Uh, or when the draft lottery happened, we fall from 3 to 5. I'm like devastated. Like, there's no way we can ever get him. And then the draft night trade happens. We get him. I'm on the moon, and it's just been smooth sailing, or not smooth sailing. It's been kind of rocky, but it's been a fun ride since then. I've really enjoyed beginning to post my work publicly, and just getting feedback and learning more from guys like you and Chris Lero. You guys, I really look up to you guys, and I'm just excited to see where this path takes me.
Well, brother, hey man, look up higher, okay? Like, I appreciate those words, man. I really do. I really do, man. I really, really do. But no, man, you're good at what you do, man. I just wanted to know what it was, because I feel like, evaluating prospects and having not only evaluating them, but like actually having fun while doing it, and liking every little thing about it is like such a niche thing. So it's like, it's always really cool to hear why people feel that way, or start liking, because it takes time. You can't just look at one game and be like, oh, I know what that guy. No, it's like, it takes time, so it's really cool to listen to people say why they like doing it. So, man, again, thanks for the great words, man. It's really cool of you to say, but yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate everything you said.
Well, thanks again, David, for joining us to talk about Dallas Mavericks. Thank you, Lero, for joining me on another episode of Swish Theory Podcast. Appreciate you guys listening. Make sure and follow David's work, follow Swish Theory's work. We've added a number of contributors recently that we're excited to see their work. At some point in this season, I will actually finish some of the articles I've been working on. I've got like 2 of them that are 80% done, and unfortunately life has kind of gone sideways on me recently. So hopefully we'll have some of that work coming out, but make sure and follow Swish Theory at Swish Theory, follow Swish Theory Podcast at Swish Theory Pod, and the Finishing Pod on Twitter, and David's work. And we'll see you guys again. I want to say next week. You never know. I mean, this crazy world. We'll see you next time. We'll say that. We'll see you next time. Peace.